welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for being here, for clicking on today's video. And if you're new here, welcome. I know we have a lot of new people. Thank you guys so much for the support. I am so excited that we are growing our little book community here. It really is just such a joy, and I'm so happy to have you here. So I hope you'll consider staying if you're new here and joining the club. Today I thought it would be a fun idea to talk about my favorite reads of 2023 so far. I would like to do another one of these videos a little bit later in the year, and then at the end of the year do my favorite reads of 2023 like all together. I thought it would be a good idea to do this because it'll be easy for you guys to know which books I absolutely recommend, and if you haven't read them, you can go ahead and pick them up yourself. So that is what today's video is about. I'm super excited to get into this. I love talking about my favorite books. Some of these you guys will already know. At least one of them you guys will already know. So I'm super excited. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop right into this video. Coming in hot, first up we have Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. And super exciting news because this is getting turned into a movie or a show. I don't remember. I think it's a movie. And I'm so excited. The list of producers look amazing, and I just can't wait to see these characters come to life. This is a second chance romance, and our main characters in this are Yasmin and Josiah. They had this like marriage that was the envy of all marriages. Like they just were so connected. They were soulmates and they were college sweethearts. But sadly, life ends up happening to them, and as we know, life happens. Life be lifing, as we say. Something happens to them that really just destroys the foundation of everything that they've built, and so they find themselves divorced and they're trying to figure out, how did we get here, because they're still so in love with each other. So we get to follow the story of Yasmin and Josiah. We get to see them work through their problems and figure out if they can come back together. So I really enjoyed this. I thought it had such a warm feel to it. I really felt like I could have been amongst family while I was reading it, and I just loved their love story. I loved the display of Black luxury. Like, it was just beautiful and I absolutely loved it. So yes, this is one of my favorite reads of 2023 so far. So next up we have Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is a very controversial book. Some people absolutely hate this book, but I think it's important, like the perspective that you're going into the book with. And I think that's important for a lot of books that end up being controversial. It is a really sad book, and honestly, not too many good things happen for these characters, but I think in that way it's like really real. And I think I've said this before, I really enjoy stories that feel very real. Like, you know, you feel like these things could really happen to people in real life. And I just feel like it really just broadens my perspective on life when I read books like that. And that's exactly what this book is. It's a story of two kids who are in high school. They're from completely different social groups and they really should be having nothing to do with each other. But somehow they gravitate towards each other and they're kind of like learning and growing together, navigating their sexuality, navigating being a teenager, you know, mental health. They're both from backgrounds that are kind of like a little iffy, and I think that's one of the things that also makes them gravitate towards each other. They never catch a break, and it really does explore mental health a lot in this book. I just felt like it was so real and so raw, and I was heartbroken. Like, I actually felt like an empty void in my chest when I finished this book. If you are somebody who likes real life stories, you will like this. But just know there's not much happiness. Like, not too many good things happen to these characters. So that's all I have to say. Next up, we have Before I Let Go. I definitely mixed up the names. How rude of me. I meant to say Before We Were Strangers. Anyway, back to the video. So this was a more recent read. I read this in April, and this was a book that I read for booktubers recommend me a book. So Sarah Caroli recommended me this book and I absolutely fell in love with it. Before We Were Strangers is a second chance romance. I think I may have a thing for second chance romance because I've read a lot of second chance romance, and I feel like a lot of the books I'm mentioning today are second chance romance. I thought that it was a little bit slow in the beginning, but also it was so different than any book that I'd ever read that it kept me intrigued and I wanted to keep reading. But basically, these two characters, Maddie and Grace, met in college. They fell in love, and then something happens that completely separates them for years and years and years. And then one day, Maddie is about to get onto the subway and he sees Grace, and they kind of have like this missed connection, and it's really funny because then he then goes and writes a missed connection on, I don't even know what it is, like I don't even know if people do this anymore, the Craigslist missed connections page, and that is how he's trying to find her. When they eventually do end up seeing each other again, they kind of have this moment of like, what happened to us? Like, where did we go wrong? And we get this look back into their past, the height of their romance. It's absolutely beautiful. I literally said that Matt is a male character written by a female author because he's literally perfect. There are some plot twists that I did not expect, actually. I didn't know that this was gonna have plot twists, but there were some wild plot twists, and so the whole book is just such a good read. It's a fast read. It really keeps you engaged. So this is another favorite read of mine from this year so far. So next up, a little bit of a genre shift. So this is the Atlas 6. It's dark academia and fantasy. This book is so good. Now this is part of a series, so this one is the first one, and then you have the Atlas Paradox, which I just read this month, and then coming out in January of 2024 you have the Atlas Complex. This one so far has been my favorite of both. The characters in this book are just so complex, they're so layered. I love them. I had such a good time reading about them. I feel like this first book is more character driven, and I feel like the second book is a little more plot driven, although I did feel like the plot kind of dragged in the second book, but this one is so good. Like, it was such a quick read once I got about like a quarter of the way in. So in this book you have medians, and medians are basically like magicians, but they're called medians, and every person has gifts in different branches of magic. Some people belong to the branch of physical magic, and these people can really manipulate time and space, change the dimensions, and travel between dimensions and do all this kind of stuff. And then you have people who are really good with plants. They're called naturalists. You have people who are good at manipulation. You have people who are really good at illusions or seeing through illusions. You have telepaths. So like, everybody belongs to a different branch. Every 10 years 6 medians are chosen to come and be a part of the Alexandrian society. 6 are chosen, but only 5 ultimately can make it to actually be a part of the Alexandrian society. So these 6 medians who are invited to, you know, kind of prove that they belong to be there, they're like some of the most powerful. They crave knowledge, they like crave power, and we know that, well, basically it literally says on the cover, knowledge is carnage. So, you know, they're pursuing knowledge, they're pursuing power, and at the same time it is carnage, and they have these battles, like these moral and ethical battles, and it's just so good. And I definitely think if you're into fantasy and you're into dark academia, you will love this book. It is absolutely so good. Guys, you know I couldn't make it through a video without Magnolia Parks. Come on now, do you even know me? This is definitely like my favorite read of this year so far. I've been talking about it nonstop, and it's so funny because it's not your traditional kind of book. When you start reading it, you'll be like, like, this is not what I expected. But I think that it makes it all the more interesting for that, and it really does feel like you are a part of these characters' lives. So they're a big group of friends that grew up together, they went to boarding school together, they're basically like family, so you have found family trope in this, and they're so close-knit, and the way that the books are written, it literally makes you feel like you're a part of their group. They're called the box set, and it literally makes you feel like you're a part of the box set. And our main characters are Magnolia, BJ, Henry, Christian, and Jonah. So that is the box set. That is the friend group that these stories follow. But more specifically, we're really focused in on Magnolia and BJ. They are the main show. They are in love. They've been in love forever, but they have the most toxic relationship ever. These are my favorite reads of the year so far. They've all received 5 stars. I think I might have like 1 or 2 more 5 stars, but like, these are the ones that I would truly recommend. These are the ones where if you've asked me if I've read anything interesting lately that I would recommend you one of these. We have romance, literary fiction, we have dark academia, and fantasy. I'm so excited because I have a lot of anticipated reads for this year, and I know that the next time I do this video, I'm gonna have a few more for you guys. But yeah, so far these have been my favorite reads of the year. I highly recommend you pick them up, and if you do, let me know what you think of them. I'd love to know. I would love to hear your guys' opinions and to get different perspectives on books, hear different things that I may not have thought of. Thank you guys for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one.
When you're not here, the sun don't sunshine when you're not near. I don't feel like I do when you're with